The 7-star TYRANITAR Tera raid event is now back for its second time out in Scarlet and Violet. In today's video, we're going to cover all of the details of this event, as well as some of the best builds to help farm for those high-cost items when this event is running. Running from the 4th until the 6th of April, we're going to see this event return in Scarlet and Violet alongside the 5-star Blissey Tera raid event. This event can be accessed by going to your Poke Portal menu and then heading into Mystery Gifts and then down into Check Poke Portal News. Once you do this, you'll be connected to the internet, connected to the servers, and your map will update, so you'll be able to locate the Blissey raids, which will be a variety of different Tera types, and also that Ghost Tera type 7-star TYRANITAR raid. Now in today's video, we're going to cover a method that's going to make running through this raid, especially if you're farming for those high cost items this weekend, a lot easier. When you come to the raid, the first thing you're going to want to do is drop a save in front of it. Now this method is going to make sure that we're locking in the same raid partners each and every time we go in against the TYRANITAR. And particularly, we're looking for 2 Intimidators on our side of the field. Now, to do this, there is an easy method for doing it. We've dropped the save. What you need to do is then come into the raid, make sure you're offline when you're doing this, and then choose the option Challenge as a Group. Then just click through these options and start the raid as you would be ready. When you come into the raid, you're going to see your raid partnering Pokemon. If you've got 2 Intimidators on your side of the field, you can finish the raid out. If you have not got 2 Intimidators, simply just hit your home menu, close the game and restart it, come back in and repeat this process, choosing that challenge as a group option, go into the raid, check your partnering Pokemon until you get the desired partners you are looking for. As you can see, we finally, after about 10 minutes, do get a selection of partnering Pokemon that we do want in the Staraptor and that Paldean Taurus. This is great for us going forward, so we'll complete the raid and then I'll show you the next step so you can guarantee locking these partnering Pokemon in each and every time you do this raid. Now you've done that initial setup, when you come back to the raid den once again, all you're going to do this time is choose the option Challenge Alone. Make sure you're offline when you're doing this, but challenging alone will make sure that those partnering Pokemon that you initially set up from those steps that we did earlier will ensure that those same partnering Pokemon appear again and again and again every time we go back into this raid, making it so easy to farm for those high cost items. So we've already featured a few builds on the channel. We've got the Torterra, the Primeape, and the Crocodile. They'll all be linked down in the description below, but in today's video we are featuring another one that is going to be perfect for this initial setup, locking in our raid partners, and it's going to be Crawdaunt. We featured it in our preview video for the 7-star TYRANITAR. This build is slightly different though. We've got that Dark Terastallization, we've got that Shell Bell as the held item, and of course Crawdaunt is going to be level 100, and make sure those IVs are set to 31 so it is hyper trained. The moveset is going to be Iron Defense, Swords Dance, Taunt, and Crunch. And the EV spread, not so conventional, 252 EVs in defense, so maxing out that stat, 204 EVs in attack, and then the remaining 52 EVs in that speed stat with an Adamant Nature. So the Crawdaunt stat should look like this once you've got it built in game. The reason for that investment in the speed is so we always outspeed the TYRANITAR by 1 speed point, allowing us to get that critical taunt off when we need to, and also the Iron Defense after it nullifies our stats and abilities. The big important thing here is the Shell Armor ability on the Crawdaunt, just making us immune to any critical hits while that ability is intact. And the build will be down in the description below if you want to take a look at it after the video. So we'll jump into the raid and I'll show you with that initial setup how easy this can be to farm this TYRANITAR over the weekend when this is running. And like you can see here, if you've done everything right in that initial setup, you've got the same partnering Pokemon. That double Intimidate like we locked in earlier will be the partnering Pokemon that we'll use throughout the raid going forward now for the rest of the weekend or however long we keep this event in our game. So to start us off, we're going to lock in with a Crunch, and we're going to use this for the first 3 turns. We're just really chipping away at our Terastallization counter so we can Terastallize a little bit quicker in the raid when we need to. And you can see how crucial those double Intimidates are to just making sure that that TYRANITAR is not going to be doing very much damage or threatening us at all. Lock in another Crunch. Nice thing about this move is it does have a secondary effect to lower the defense stat of the target Pokemon at 20% of the time. So if you do get any of those defense drops, it's going to speed things up even further for you. Now this is the 3rd and final Crunch. We will be able to Terastallize after this point, but we're not going to do so just yet. We're waiting on the raid timer hitting that 85% mark and that notification popping up where it nullifies stats and abilities on our side of the field. There it is. And now we're going to go for the Taunt. This is where we lock in and stop and prevent the Dragon Dance. Now, just remember, because our ability has been nullified here, we're not going to have the shell armor. So if it does go for Stone Edge, land a critical hit, it will knock us out. That is inevitable, but that's fine, because that's just going to trigger those notifications. The next one's being set up, the shield going up, it nullifying the stat drops on its side of the field, and the 2 Dragon Dances that it goes for, which will be blocked by that Taunt that we've just dropped onto the field. Now, it will chip away at our raid timer, so it'll appear like we've not got as much time, or this is taking a lot longer than it would normally, but in actual fact, we're still doing really well for time, so this is fine and all part of the plan. Now, because it hasn't got that Dragon Dance up, we're still going to be faster than it, so it means this next turn, we can lock in with a Iron Defense. That's going to boost our defense by 2 stages and just mean that we're able to take attacks after it's nullified those stat drops originally a little bit better in this early stage of the raid, while those Intimidates are coming back onto the field and proccing again and again and again. Now, after the Iron Defense, we're going to lock in with Swords Dance. The next few turns, we're going to go for 3 of these, get our attack to +6. And then when we've got to +6, we're going to be able to Terastallize, lock in with Crunch, and then that's pretty much it to close up the raid. If you do get lucky and dodge those Stone Edges at critical times, it can speed things up even more. There is that chance that nullifies your stats and abilities. You go for the Taunt, it misses the Stone Edge, and you don't get fainted that turn, so it can be even quicker than what it would be here for this example. Here's that 3rd and final Sword Stance. Now we're +6 attack, and you could get into the position here. We'll see what our health's like, but you could go for an all-out attack cheer here just to make your attacks hit a little bit harder going forward for the next few turns. And because we're pretty healthy, we know that the Stone Edge is not really going to threaten and knock out this next turn. We're pretty free to go for it, so it's up to you if you want to at this stage go for that or not, but we're pretty safe to. But that all-out attack cheer, our attack stat is +6. Defense is +2, and we're ready to lock in with our Terastallization and start damaging this Tyranitar. Like I said, the raid timer is around that 50% mark, but we should be able to cut through this mightiest Mog Pokemon from now on pretty comfortably and pretty quickly as well. And I'd say this takes about 5 minutes tops to run through with the Crawdaunt if you've got that double Intimidator setup. So it's a really good, effective way to run through, farm for these high-cost items this weekend while the event is running, and a good way just to top up on level up candies, and especially Herba Mystica, which we all love for shiny hunting and making things a bit easier to pop up in game when we need to. So you can see this next one probably won't be enough to break the shield. But additionally, like I said earlier in the raid, if these crunches land any of those defense drops, it's going to speed things up even more going forward in the raid. So that's what you're really looking for. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've got any of those defense drops just yet, but we're not threatened at all by those Stone Edges, and we don't need to worry about the critical hits. So we're in that good position here. If we get a defense drop here, that could be pretty big for us, but we just break the shield. And then the Tyranitar will go for nullifying its stat drops again. Once again, that's where this Iron Defense really comes in while we wait for those Intimidates to activate once again and drop onto the field. The Staraptors probably, Staraptor and Arcanine, I would say, are the 2 probably most preferable raid partners, because they're going to get constantly knocked in and out all the time and just keep dropping that attack on the Tyranitar. And this should be the final crunch here. With that defense drop that we got last turn, it should lock it up, and there we go, nice and quick in just about 5 minutes to run through this one. And like I say, you can do it quicker if you get certain things falling in your favor RNG wise, but on average I would say 5 minutes to run through the Tyranitar, which is pretty good on all things considered for a 7-star Pokemon all in all. And then you're going to be able to get all of the high cost items, the drops. Hopefully you get lucky with Herba Mystica. None for us this time, but of course we can try again. Once it has disappeared from your map, you're going to be able to use the method to just hit your home menu, come down into system settings, then down into system, down into date and time. Make sure your synchronized clock via the internet is set to off. Click into your date and time options, just toggle through these, hit OK, and don't change anything there. Then just hit your home menu, come back into the game. All the dens should refresh on your map, and it'll mean that that 7-star Tera den will respawn wherever it is. So you can just head over to it once again and kind of rinse and repeat the raid and just farm those items so easily using this method the entire weekend. All you need to do when you come back into the raid and you want those same partnering Pokemon, just make sure you're not online when you do this. you lock into the raid and then you choose the option challenge alone, and you will have those same partnering Pokemon each and every time you come back in to take this 7-star Tyranitar on, so making it so much easier to run through while this event is running. If you found the build and the method that we covered in today's video useful, please consider dropping a like on the video. It does help out massively, and consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all of our Pokemon content. If you've got your own builds that you've had the most success with running it through this event to farm or just get the Tyranitar, do share them down below in the comment section below. Help others out in the community that are doing the same thing as you with this event over the weekend. And we should have our next 7-star Tera raid announced this Sunday evening, so if we do, keep an eye out on the channel for that update and any following raid builds leading up to that next one. Thank you so much for tuning in, friends. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in another video very soon. So until then, take care of yourselves and bye bye.